Britain will leave the EU for good, with or without a deal, at the end of this year. Will Brexit remain an isolated case, or will the example set a precedent? On June 23, 2016, the unimaginable happened. Great Britain has decided with a narrow majority to turn its back on the EU. After years of primarily domestic political conflicts and discussions, Boris Johnson's clear election success in December 2019, which was all under the motto "Get Brexit Done," sealed the exit from the EU. In February 2020, Brexit finally became a formal reality. At the end of this year, the so-called transition phase will also come to an end, and Brexit will have its full effect for the first time. The greatest impact for Europe occurred almost overnight. At 4:40 a.m., the BBC forecast for the first time that the Leave side had narrowly won the referendum. Since then, there has hardly been a country in the EU that has not been associated with the possibility of its own exit. In some cases, it was even seen as the end of the EU, in which Brexit was the first domino and one country after another would leave. Even if countries were confronted with exit scenarios before Brexit, hardly anyone seriously believed in this possibility until June 24, 2016. Today, suitcase words like Frexit for a possible exit of France, Nexit for the Netherlands, Itexit for Italy, or Öxit for Austria are very common. But how likely is that another country will leave the EU? In order to answer this question as comprehensively and objectively as possible, Markus Gastinger developed the EU Exit Index. Markus Gastinger is a Marie Sklodowska-Curie Fellow in the Department of Political Science at the University of Salzburg. The EU Exit Index is made up of social, economic and political indicators. Socially, he used various questions from the Eurobarometer, a regular survey of citizens in all EU member states. Among other things, it can be used to determine the proportion of people who identify exclusively with their national state, which increases the likelihood of leaving. In economic terms, the index includes, for example, how much trade takes place with other EU member states. That means how valuable membership in the European internal market is. Politically, for example, Gastinger determined the proportion of Eurosceptic MPs in national parliaments. Then all indicators are standardized so that they range from 0 to 100, with 100 defining the maximum exit probability. Using a principal component analysis, Gastinger finally determined a statistically ideal weighting for each indicator. Great Britain is obviously, by a large margin, consistently at the top. In 2015, and thus directly before the Brexit referendum, it reached a good 75 out of 100 possible index points. It was very far ahead of the country in second place. That was Austria in 2015, but at the time it only reached 60 index points. Since the referendum in Great Britain only just came out in favor of an exit and Brexit was also on the brink several times, it is likely that a country will have to come relatively close to these 75 index points in order to face a specific exit risk. Every country, including Austria, is currently a long way from this. By the way, the furthest away from this is Lithuania, which ranks last in the EU Exit Index. The EU Exit Index has changed over time. The values for Austria have steadily decreased since 2015. By contrast, the Czech values have leveled off at high level. Since 2016, the Czech Republic has been in second place behind Great Britain. The index has declined the most for Cyprus, which was in fourth place in 2015, but is now in the lower third. In fact, the EU Exit Index has declined almost everywhere since the 2016 Brexit referendum. Therefore, at this point in time, there is no evidence that any country other than Great Britain wants to commit itself to leaving the EU. That doesn't mean it has to stay that way forever. If Great Britain proves that it is also possible to live well outside the EU and the exit should have mostly positive effects, which I personally doubt, but still, more countries could get used to this scenario. Nevertheless, it is difficult to imagine a complete collapse of the EU in this way. Most countries will probably continue to be able to gain more from rule-based cooperation within the EU than from reorientation beyond Europe. I want to remind you of the keyword Global Britain. or national isolation. In any case, the EU exit index makes it possible to make this development more visible and at least to make the discussion about future exits more objective. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel, and please also subscribe to my two new channels. If you say the sentence 100 times in a few weeks, that's really getting quite up there. But I would love you to do exactly that. I'll see you in my next video. Viel Spaß!